A very good evening, Zimbabwe. This is Studio 7 Live Talk, coming to you live from the Voice of America in Washington. This Thursday, April the 16th, 2015. Welcome to the Women's segment, the Women's Roundtable, where we speak about issues affecting women. I'm Marvelous Mhlanganyahuye.
Mina Praxis Jeremiah.
And today on the Women's Roundtable, we are looking at the role that women played during the liberation struggle and also on the status of women post-independence. What has happened 35 years later? What are your views on the issue?
To join our discussion, you can call us on 001-202-619-2077. The number again, 001-202-619-2077, and we'll call you back.
And Live Talk goes out to Zimbabwe on the 490, on the 909 medium wave frequency, and on the 5940 and 15455 kilohertz shortwave, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. But for you women out there, Thursday is your day. Don't forget.
Sikona njalo ebulenjini. We are on the web. You can find us on www.voazimbabwe.com, lobanjalo ku www.voaindebele.com, lobanjalo ku www.voashona.com.
If you look at the history of our government since independence, we have had either 2 or 3 women from Gamla who have made it into cabinet. So, out of the thousands of women who went to war, only to have 3 who have made it into cabinet. What does that tell you? And in terms of even being ambassadors, only just being ambassadors or permanent secretaries or any other position, how many have we had out of the lot of women who went into the struggle? If one was to carry out a study, it is insignificant. And then of the women in influential positions did not do much as well in order to promote other women. If they actually discover that there's potential in Irene Zimbi, they would want to try and catch you before you even rise to the next step, let alone for that particular influential woman to promote you. When we talk about the women's policies, that woman of influence would actually view you like you're a man, would rather promote men at your expense than promoting you as a woman, because they don't want competition. They see you as competitors, and that's one thing they don't want. So what they would want to do is to make sure that they crush you and forget about you before you even rise, if there's potential in you.
kuvarwechisikana vatange tiinavo kuzanira kureva kuti hakuwanikewo magamba here vana comrade zebia vana comrade tracy vakatanga kuva vamembers vezanira hazviti kutaurwa nezvavo vanongofa zvokotsakatika.
To be honest with you, hapana panoitwa proper forum yediscussion yekuti madzimai ngaasimudzirwe mumusangano medu. Hapana, zvinongotaurwa generally. Vasinei nechekuita nezvehondo yachona ndivo vanosimudzirwa, asi vamwe madzimai vane chekuita nehondo vakanga vakuitirwawo zvetiri kutaura izvi. Unoona variwo vapamusoro kupopota kuti ini ndakaenda kuhondo ini and inini ndakaita basa rakati. Saka handitwe zvandiri kuitwa izvi nemunhu asina kumboenda kuhondo. Asi the same woman achiitira vamwe wake madzimai aangainawo futi kuhondo, yangova yenjake. Ende vamwe vachona vakatoona kuti mukadzi nhingi nemukadzi nhingi vane potential, vanobva vavatora as competitors.
Today on the Women's Roundtable, we are looking at the upcoming independence celebration and also looking at the status of women 35 years down the line. Has it changed? What are your views?
Although women actually fought alongside men in the Liberation War, some former Liberation War heroes or sheroes say that after returning from the battle from patriarchy seems to be ruling, with women not being given the same opportunities as men. Marvelous.
But PJ, some women actually see the situation very differently. They say that despite the government's slow pace in promoting women's rights, there are a few inroads that have been made, especially in the education sector, which is now giving women more access to decision-making positions. But we want to hear from all the women out there. What are your views on the issue?
Let's hear more from different women on their views on the status of women 35 years after independence.
Yes, PJ, while we wait to hear from the women, we can just talk about the celebrations themselves. It seems women are saying totally different views. Some are saying that, for them, nothing has changed. The current political situation has not changed. The economic situation has not changed. But for some, they say it's different. So let's hear from the women.
Independence of Zimbabwe, we've seen most women being empowered into different sectors. For example, we can look at the 50-50 equality. We now have women who are now at the top offices. We now have women getting opportunities to go to school, being involved in business, being involved in different aspects where it was difficult for women to venture in, but now they are also able to compete with men.
I think the government so far has done quite well by accommodating women in policy-making issues, irregardless of the patriarchal system where women's place was only in the kitchen.
Yeah, the government is trying, but it hasn't reached the 50-50 proportion. If you look at the number of women in parliament, it's almost there, but the government must keep on employing women on jobs that need top management.
Empowerment has done a lot of achievements to the women. Like myself, I just started as a journalist, and right now I'm a regional manager for the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce. I did not just jump to this position. It was because of my education. Then the government's empowerment for women also urged me to continue doing whatever I'm doing. Because of the empowerment, women are no longer scared of going to school, being employed, doing their own businesses. Even if you look at the cross-border issue, most of the cross-borders are women, and they are doing a lot to the economy of our country. And I urge all women not to hesitate to go to school or to look for a job. And I'm here as a woman, as a regional manager, and I'm not scared.
Leyo ke bekuyimicabango kumbe imbono yabesifazane abehlukeneyo ngaleli langa lapho iZimbabwe eyathola khona uzibuse. Kwabasanda kusixhuma singumsakazo owe Studio 7. Sikuhlelo ke asihluzeni bomama ku LiveTalk. Lapho ke esikhuluma ngendima eyaphathwa ngabesifazane lapho kuliwa impi yenkululeko, lapho indima asebeyiphethe ngemva kukazibuse ngemva kweminyaka engamashumi amahlanu. Sifuna ukukhangela intuthuko, sihlaziye lokuthi bayananzwa na abesifazane ngemva kokulwa impi yenkululeko bebambene labesilisa. Siyawanikwa na amathuba afanayo njengalokho esasikulwela empini yenkululeko. Kodwa ke singakangeni kulabo esilabo kuhlelo lamhlanje, wothani sizwe imbono yabanye esabacindezelayo sabarekhoda bekhuluma ngembali yabo empini yenkululeko abangabesifazane.
Awawethu ayodela lamabhulu, awawethu ayodela lamabantu, lobabele Zimbabwe yabobaba, lobaba.
Independence isigaba esinye sithi sikhululekile, abathi bakhululekile, thina sikhululekanga. Mina njengami ngiMrs Mabhena, kodwa nxa ngikhangele independence ngo-81, 82 yayimnandi ngoba sasisuka kuzibuse, izinto zonke zikhona, sisanza ukuthathela amabhuku, izimota zokuthwala ukudla, iziphala zigcwele, yonke into sasingakuzi noma singadingi dlala kwakubuya masinya khonapho. So independence kusiyafika ku-83 yabantu, kusuka ku-84 yayisimbi sokutshayana sokuthena sokubandlululana. Mina independence angiyikholisisi ngoba ngangimithingwilo, sijibhula labobhudi njalo futhi sijibhula labobhudi, sithwala amanzi athisa siyasentabeni kanika amakhomredi ukugezisa, ukuchoba intwala, ukuthini, uku-ayina intwala zonke lezana babe bahle. Yithi omama bepheka izithwala bebuya lazo ebhesini. Inqama ukhomredi sebona ukunzima uyathi sihambana endaweni engaka kula mabhulu siyekhangela amabhulu ukuthi ami njani. Wena uyahamba ungelasithali ungelani, ungosuza wonkorora ombhobho esishini ecatshile. So sithathe uzivusa thina sikhangelwanga ukuthi kulo sivilo lomgibha kulabo mama babephekela la namhlanje lokho ngangisithi 35 years thina singelaliswa njani. Sizubuhlungu kakhulu, vela sifuna ukuzwa ngakho, kodwa iZANU-PF sikuyo, siyakhangela i-independence abayibo abalesihlalo, yibo abadlayo abakholisayo.
Yonke into eyidingwa ngamagandanga egangeni babefika badinge bani umama, ababethwala ukudla besiyabanika egangeni kwakungumama. Kodwa ibenefit yabo khathesi sesizuze uzibuse njengelizwe, ngangibona ukuthi omama babenefitheni ngakho kangako, ngoba even lasezikhundleni eziphezulu bayachiwe. Omama bavele bacindezelwe kakhulu ngoba kakukho engingakubamba sibili ukuthi umama esingamnika i-example sithi thina ngulwana umama oyesempini, ngoba baningi asiye mama wethu, kodwa singazange sibabone sibephatheke ekukholiseni kokuba siselizweni lethu sesikuzibusa.
Ngine-14 years ngesikhathi sempi sathathwa emakhaya siye esikolo, so ngasengikhapha ngasuka ngaya eBotswana, sasuka eBotswana sayenduneni from eBotswana sathathwa ngindege sesikabe eZambia khona ngayo. Yikho lapho engisuke khona eZambia ngisiya etraining emfisi. Mina ngenza ukuthi ngingenele ngoba kwakulomama umncane wami khonapho ehambile elibhini layo, so ngenzela ukungenela. So indawo kade sisuka kiyo yayindawo ende from eZambia almost iborder ye-Angola, so ukuthi siphendukise kwakungayenzi, abagcina besiphena khonapha sibancane, sasiya about 4 phena labakhulu. Angizange ngizisole, ngazisola ngesikhathi sokubhonjwa kuphela emkushi, kwabhonjwa emkushi sengiqedile i-training ngomhlaka 19 October 1978.
Nasi muchirongwa chedu chemadzimai tiri kutarisa kuti kodzero dzemadzimai dziri kusimudzirwa here munyika, tichitarisa mhemberero yeindependence yatakatarisana nayo nemugovera. Tichanzwazve kune mamwe madzimai akasiyana-siyana nemaonero avo tisati tapinda zvedu muchirongwa.
Hurumende iri kuzama hayo kunyange isati yanyatsosvika chaipo chaipo patiri kuda. Zviri nani nenyaya yekuti mukatarisa pamahouse of assembly members madzimai ariko, even kumasenators madzimai ariko, zvisati zvanyatsosvika chaipo chaipo patiri kuda, asi hurumende iri kuzama.
Ini ndinongoti muchidimbu vakadzi ngavawewo vanokurudzirwa kupinda muma-policy making issues ehurumende kuitira kuti awe anobatsira madzimai kuve nepfungwa dzakatambanuka pakubatsira hurumende pane zvese zvavanenge vachiita maringe nemabasa nemashandiro anoitwa muhurumende.
Chekutanga, hurumende yakagona kusimudzira madzimai nekuti izvozvi tiri kunoti madzimai aroramba achienderera mberi nezvidzidzo zvavo, vamwe vakukwanisa kuendawo kumabasa, vamwe vachipiwawo zvigaro zvaisonzi hazvitorwi nemadzimai, but ndo pava kukwanisawo kukwana-kwana. Tikatarisa even structure mupolitics chaimo kuti madzimai akamirirawo vamwe vavo, namba yacho iri kudadisa. Nyangwe zvazvo tichikumbura kuti dai pagadziriswa pekuti panyaya dzematongerwo enyika apa vakuru varipo varume vega vega, hapana madzimai akaiswa. Saka dai vangogadziriswa ipapapo tono umwe anenge akamirira madzimai ari padanho repamusoro-soro.
Ndingati kusumidzirwa kwavakadzi chinhu chakanaka chaicho muZimbabwe, nekuti vazhinji vedu, ini nditori regional manager pandiri panapa, ndiri mukadzi, asi kare tairi this position inofanira kunge ine murume, but kubudikidza neempowerment yatakapuwa negovernment kusumudzira vakadzi taukwanisa kuenda kuchikoro kusvika level yatoda, vakadzi taukwanisa kuenda kunotsvaka basa ratinoda. Hatichatyi kuti ndiri mukadzi because ndine maqualifications, ndine that empowerment yeeducation yandakapuwa negovernment, saka I can work anywhere. Toenda kucross border, vanoenda kunotenga zvinhu kunze kwenyika vakawandisa, enda vazhinji vacho navakadzi. Ukaenda kumabhazi ari kuenda kuSouth Africa, ari kuenda kuTanzania, ari kuenda kuChina, ari kuenda kupi, vakawandisa vai vakadzi.
Welcome again to the Women's Roundtable. We have a very full show today, commemorating our independence and also looking at the status of women 35 years down the line. And we are lucky today. I think we have an independent present. We have an in-house guest, Chiedza Gadzirai, who's here in Washington on Atlas Core. Welcome to the studio, Chiedza.
Thank you very much, Marvelous, and happy independence to you.
Thank you. And she's one of the born free, but we also have our other guest, Honorable Paulina Mpariwa Gwanyanya, who's on the line. We have Mrs. Lucia Mativenga, who's on the line, and Mai Margaret Dongo, who is also on the line. So we are spoiled for choice today, PJ.
Yeah, sure.
But I think we'll start off with our young guest in the studio. You are a born free yourself. What would you say when you look at the status of women right now in Zimbabwe? Has it changed 34 years down the line?
Well, as a born free, I can say I was born after independence, but then I cannot say that I do not know what was happening before we attained our independence as Zimbabwe. And of course, the stories about women not having been able to cast their votes, women are not able to buy houses unless they were married, women could not own land unless there was a signature of their husband. So I think on a positive note, from the stories that we've heard as we were growing up, things have really changed. I learned at a girls-only high school, and I could brag about that high school because it has churned out the best results in Zimbabwe. But it has not only been about O-level and A-level results. The women that have come from school have also gone on to do the best that they can with their education. So I think one positive thing that came from independence has really been promoting education, not only for women. Well, I learned at Monte Cassino Girls High School, so we really have had very good results as a school, and I would attribute it, we had a male headmaster who was very strict, but he really helped us a lot as young girls. And I can also say from Monte Cassino, we had the first female pilot in Zimbabwe, Captain Mbilia Giovanni. So I learned at a school that promoted young girls not only to get educated, but to be the best in whatever field that we wanted to get into. So having that background of education, it spurred us to be at a better level. And then we also have women
Cheers, I think we'll have to make you hold for just
Sure.
1 minute so we can also take our outside guests. And we'll
Great.
start off na my Margaret Dongo. Muripo here parunare?
Ndiripo.
Aiwa, manzwa musikana wechidiki ari kutaurawo iye maonero ake, asi imi makarwa muhondo yerusununguko, mungatitsananguriro kuti muri kuona sei mikana iri kupiwa madzimai tichitarisa nezviri kuitika mazuva ano 35 years down the line?
Ichokwadi, maonero akasiyana. Imi semurwi werusununguko 35 years down the line, handisi kumbonzwa kufara.
Motitaurisei mbijana, honorable, sorry, motitaurisei mbijana.
Ndati inini seumwe wakarwira rusununguko handisi kumbonzwa kusununguka nekufara pamusana pekuti makore atiri kutaura nezvawo awanda 35. Haasisiri makore kuti tirambe tichingokumbira kuti dai tiri kudzimadzimai taitirwa zvakati nezvakati. Taapa nguva yataisa nhonga taakuti tatova pachinhano chakakwira kumusoro chaiko. Tichitarisa vamwe varwi vesununguko, vamwe vangu madzimai vazhinji vachiri kutambura, vazhinji vasina kuwana mukana wechikoro, nekuti pamusana pekuti pavakauya vakange vakura, uyezve vakanga vashaikirwa nevabereki vavo, pekutangira vakanga vasisina. Naizvozvo vamwe vanonzi vakawana mabasa, asi ruzhinji haruna kuwana mabasa. Saka kana tichitaura nezvazvo, zvinosiyana. Kumaborn free vakava nerusununguko hungu rwekuti vakakwanisa kungati pachigadzirisa zvikoro, vana vasikana vakuenda kuchikoro zvakangofanana nevakomana, asi hazvisirizvo chaizvo zviri kunyanya kuitika, nekuti tine madropouts akawanda evasikana anokonzerwa nezvinhu zvakasiyana siyana. Dambudziko richiriko rekuti vana vazhinji vechisikana kunyanya mumaruwa havasi kukwanisa kuenda kuzvikoro.
Tombokubatai muromo ipapo kuti zvingagadziriswe sei?
Kugadziriswa kwacho kunoda kuti isusu madzimai nana baba tionane semapartners, tionane sevanhu vakaenzana, uyezve kana zvigaro zvichipiwa, zvingava matongerwo enyika, mungava mumaprivate sector kana kuti kupi, zvorega kutariswa kuti mukadzi here kana kuti murume. Ngapave panoiswa mukadzi, ngapaiswawo murume, nekuti dambudziko remurume nedambudziko remukadzi rakafanana.
Aiwa, tinotenda maidongo. Tombokubatai mbijana nekuti tinenge tine vanyarikani vakati wandei nhasi. PJ, tombotora mai Mativenga.
Nkosikazi Mativenga, siyakwamukela kuhlelo. Ye. Kunjani khona ngapha ekhaya?
Hayi, ekhaya kukahle, indlala kuphela.
Ye. Yiyo ke indlala. Indlala, umnotho, konke yikho esifuna sikhulume ngakho namhlanje. Ye, wena ke ngemva kweminyaka engama-30 lanhlanu sithole uzibuse. Ubona njani ke ukuthi intuthuko yabomama isikhona na? Njalo wena njengoba ungomunye wabalwa impi yenkululeko, ubona ngani kule ntuthuko na izithukuthuku zakho?
Engikubonayo mina ukuthi indaba yabomama, indaba yamakhosikazi, lokhe indaba eyinkinga. Akukalungile litho ngitsho. Okuningi emaphepheni sesilakho. Ngikhuluma ngisenzenze, ngikhuluma lami njengo-MP owayekhona kwi-70 Parliament, sibhala isisekelo sombuso, sifaka konke lokho okuthiwa yi-50-50, amazebra ini ukungenisa abantu ezikhundleni zombuso welizwe. Kodwa kulokho kusemaphepheni, akukabi yinto esesiyibambile kodwa. So umumo lempilo yabafazi lokhu inkinga kulokhu kuhlupha. Ungabona ngizwa abanye bekhuluma phambilini ku-program yona leyi ukuthi ku-cross borders yabona abafazane bekhona ungakhangelisisa abafazi bona labo isithukuthungu swethi kuphela ngoba kuyasetshenzwa akukhuthelwa mangamanga ayisizo zinto abazinika mahara zizinto abazisebenzela gadalala thina sithi hayi kufuneka lakho ukuthi sibone amakhosikazi esengena endaweni lapho abakhomba khona ukuthi wena hambe uyosebenza laphana wena hambe uyosebenza laphana hatshi ukutshona siyithe esigijimayo.
Hayi ngiza kubamba ke umlomo khonapho ngithi ulokhe ubambe ecingweni sixoxe uhlelo luze luyephela. Siyakubonga ngokuthatha lesi sikhathi ukuthi usiphathise. Marvelous.
Yes, PJ, I think we'll also take Honorable Pariwa Gwanyanya. I know you said your time is very limited today. You'd like to go to church. If you can also give us your view as a parliamentarian yourself, what are the strides that have been made to emancipate women's rights 35 years down the line?
Thank you, Marvelous. I'm glad and happy to join the rest of the nation in celebrating 35 years of independence. Yes and no. As a member of parliament that has been in parliament since 2000, and I draw my conclusion that the yes is that at least there are favorable, laws that have been enacted in parliament in order to accommodate women. Primarily, you start with the new constitution, which has put in place the accommodation of the PR 60 women. But I think we also demand that it's a short-term measure because, it is only for 10 years. After the 10 years, these women are supposed to, go and battle it out with men in the communities or in the constituencies within their political parties. You know how rough and tough election is, especially the primary elections where you have violence, use of resources, the power struggle within the political parties. When men want power, they really are not ashamed of using anything else, including women themselves fighting themselves. That's number one. Number two is the laws that have been put in place in terms of women's contribution. You can talk of the Social Offences Act, the Domestic Violence Act. Those are laws that have been enacted so that they protect women in terms of their well-being. But you would find that marvelous. We haven't said all this, that the Constitution, the African Union Charter, the Standard Protocol on gender, all these aspects. You will find that at the end of the day, why did we then advocate for the accommodation of 60 women as proportional representation? It meant that all these, the Standard Protocol has been there, the African Union Charter has been there on the participation of women in decision making. But nobody paid an ear in terms of implementation. Therefore, it means that the efforts that have been put in place has not been working because at the helm of all political parties, at the helm of all the structures of political parties, you will find men are the majority. Those are the key stakeholders in terms of holding high political offices. When it comes to selection, you will find that you will not have a woman actually signing a form in agreement of having a woman to participate in an election or in any capacity.
Thank you, Honorable. I may have to inject there because this seems to be a very popular program today, but I will keep you on the line as we migrate to our internet. We will be streaming live on www.voazimbabwe.com, so please go and join us. But please stay on the line for all our guests and stay tuned. This is Marvelous Mhlanga-Nyahuye.
Mina Praxetis Jeremiah. Sisivalisana labalaleli bethu abakuradio kodwa ke licabange ukubana likhumbule ukubana siyaqhubeka ebulenjini ku www.voandebele.com.
Welcome again if you're just joining us to the Women's Round Table, where today we are looking at the forthcoming independence and looking at the status of women 35 years down the line. Has it changed? What are your views?
Kwabasanda kusixhuma singumsakazo we-Studio 7 sithi asiyihluzeni bomama ku-live talk kodwa ke singakaqhubekeli phambili ngibona ngani sesilomlaleli kodwa ke uhlelo lwethu lamhlanje sigxile kakhulu endimeni eyadlalwa ngabesifazana silwela inkululeko sisanda kuthola uzibuse lamanje ngemva kweminyaka engama-35 sesithole uzibuse.
Aiwa nasi PJ na Miss Jedza nasi program yedu inenge yakati zarei tina mkoma Blessing Muronda vari paBotswana apa vari kuda kutipawo pfungwa dzavo. Makadi yenyu?
Tiripo makadi weni.
Aiwa tiri nani, mungatipawo pfungwa dzenyu, muri kunzwa iri mugangwe?
Ndiri kuinzwa inyaya yakanaka chaizvo. Chinondirwadzawo ini chandingangopawo maererano nekuremekedza kodzero dzevanhu vakarwa hondo vanhukadzi. Uye zvino tikatarisa kana kuZimbabwe tisingataure hedu zvepolitics asi kudzikisirwa kwakaitwa vice president vanga vari vice president mujuru kwakandirwadza zvikuru nokuti zvakaratidza kudzikisira kodzero dzevanhukadzi pasi.
Tinotenda mkoma Blessing. Mai Margaret Dongo, muri kunzwa zviri kutaura muteereri wedu uyu amenoti pane zvamungataurawo here? Ari kunyanya kuadresa iye vakatirwira hondo yerusununguko.
Vari kutaura chokwadi, zvinorwadza dhozi. Ndakateerera ndichinzwa nenyaya yeemancipation ndiri kuchaya kunzwisa kuti tiri kunzwisa kwedu emancipation yemadzimai tinonzwisa zvakadii nekuti inini semurwere rusununguko kunditaura kuti hanzi ndakasununguka ndiri kuita cross border ndiri cross border ndakurwira kunokuya kuzoita cross border varunoungana uri kuita cross border. I don't agree with that.
Saka ndombopindira ipapo maidongo ndichibvunza ini kuti zvii zvamungatarisire madzimai kana tichiti vakasununguka kuti vange vachiita panguva iyo ino?
Iyo cross border kaya muri kutaura iyo ndoyaninganzi munhu wakanorwira kuti uye uzoita cross border ende yoti varume vaite cross border ende uyezve tinotaura nenyaya dzekusunungurwa kwemadzimai. Madzimai acho anotadza kudzvinyirira. Vice president watanga tiinaye mai mujuru havana kumbobviswa nevarume aivo, vakadzi ndo vakaenda pamberi kuti vabvise munhu wemukadzi. Saka naizvozvo vakadzi vacho kusununguka kwacho kusunungura rudzi kana muchiti imimi munoda kupinzwa pakuiswa pazvigaro muchibvisa vamwe pazvigaro. Saka muri kuda kuti vaiswe pazvigaro vakadzi vakawanda vanoiswa pazvigaro pacho nani. Saka chinhu chatinofanira kuziva ndechekuti zvinhu zvese zvinotanga mumatongerwo enyika. Mukahanzi zvepolitics tiri kusiya nekuti ukoko ndo kunobva hwaro hweupenyu hwevanhu. Mapolicies anoiswa in place nemapoliticians ndo vanodetermina kuti upenyu hwemunhu hwakamira sei. Naizvozvo zvakakodzera kuti pave nenguva inonzi vakadzi vaane masimba ekutonga. Takange taane mukadzi 1 aiva mai mujuru, taakutarisira kuti mumashure mamai mujuru muchauyawo vamwe vakadzi. Naizvozvo hapana vakadzi vakambomira kuti vabvunze kuti zvakafamba sei. Isu semadzimai hatina kuzvifarira, saka zvatakatarisira ndezvakati. Saka kana madzimai tiri vanhu vekungoteera mumashure chete isusu tafara nekuti taakuenda kuchina, taakukurosa bhodha nemabhazi tichienda kwakati. Kwatiri kuenda kwacho kune matambudziko. Ndiro here basa ratakatarisira riri kuitwa nevarume? Ndochekutanga icho zvandoda kubvunza. Ndiro here basa ratavanorwira naMwari? Unorwa ndida ndisina kutomboibata futi, dai ndaiziva kuti ndichakurosa futi bhodha kubva kukurosa kwandakaita pakutanga ndichikurosa up and down Mozambique, ndoziva ndozokurosa nemabhegi kuenda kuSouth Africa, ndokurosa nemabhegi emadhoiri kuenda kuNamibia, ndokurosa nemabhegi emadhoiri kuenda kuChina. Aiwa, so varume vari kuenda ukoko here?
aiwa tinotenda maidongo nemaonero enyu. Tomboenda kune sisi vechidiki vatinavo munomu, sisi Chiedza. Manzwa zvataurwa imi namaidongo, mumwe weavo vakatirwira muhondo yerusununguka. Munoona sei zvavari kutaura?
Nyaya yataurwa namaidongo ndinoona iri nyaya yakakosha zvikuru yekuti tinogona kutaura kuti madzimai akasimudzirwa kubva independence kubva 1980. Asi kana tichiona madzimai ave kudzikisirana pachawo, takutova nerimwe dambudziko ratotanga mazuva ano. Nekuti kana tine vakadzi vanenge vari pazvinzvimbo zvekugadzirisa nyika, zvekugadzirisa nhoroondo yekuti nyika inofanira kufamba sei, tinenge taane isusuwo vechidiki vanenge vachiti ini kana ndapedza chikoro ndinofanira kuvewo pachinzvimbo china mai avo, nekuti vakasvikawo ipapo ndinofanira kukundawo matambudziko avakakundawo. Asi kana ndichiona mumwe mudzimai achidzikisira mumwe mudzimai, hazvina kuitika kumusoro chete, zviri kuitika nyange mumabasa atiri kushanda. Madzimai anenge ari pamusoro dzimwe nguva vari kudzikisira madzimai avari kushanda navo. Saka isusu tikasamirirana pachezvedu, hatina munhu anozokwanisa kutimiririrawo. Saka kunyange tichiti pane zvikoro zvakavakwa, pane chakati chagadzirisika, asi isusu madzimai taakugadzira rimwe dambudziko rekudzikisirana pachezvedu. Ndofunga iroro idambudziko rekuti tinofanira kutarisa, sezvambotaurwa naamai Gwanyanya, kuti nyange madzimai haasi kuvhoterana nyange mumatongerwo enyika. Unoona mudzimai anenge akamira achida kubatsirwa, achida kukampena, asi mamwe madzimai anobva aenda kune murume kana kuti chii. Saka isusu semadzimai taakufanira kugadzirisanawo pachezvedu, kuti tinge tichibatsiranawo, tichisimudziranawo. Kana takanganisa, ngatisade kudzikisirana paruzhinji, ngative tinewe nemwero mune zvatinenge tichiita.
Interesting there, PJ. I mean, really different views coming from our young guest here, Mr. Chiedza Gadzirai, who's here in the United States on the Atlas Corps. Maybe just tell us a little bit about your program and what have you seen here in the United States that you might help change the status of women back home when you do return to Zimbabwe.
Well, the Atlas Corps Fellowship is a fellowship for leaders in non-profit organizations from all over the world. So they select a few leaders through an application process, and you come to the United States to serve in non-profit organizations to enhance your skills in leadership, your skills in management, and your general technical skills. So having been on this fellowship, I can say I have experienced a lot in terms of leadership, in terms of management, and looked at the way that the systems are run in the United States. So going back to Zimbabwe, it is also a platform where, as a young woman, I can say that it really is important to build not only not to build the capacity of women, and not only to place women in positions of power because they are women, because sometimes it makes you lose a little bit of respect because you will not know what to talk about, you will not know what to discuss. But if you have skills, if you have some kind of capacity, if you have some kind of skills, that will also help you and propel yourself further. So, well, going back to Zimbabwe, I believe I'll still just preach the gospel of education. Let's have young girls get educated at a very young age. By the time they grow up, they're not going to be looking at themselves as women. They're going to look at more of their brain than their biological makeup, which I think is better in that way.
Thank you. There, an interesting view from our Born Free. Sisi Chiedza.
Nkosikazi Matibenga, umzwile untombazana lo osakhulayo uthi yena into eqhakathekileyo empilweni yowesifazane imfundo iqhakathekile kakhulu. Nxa ukhangeleke eZimbabwe ubona ngani iyathuthuka na imfundo yabesifazana, imfundo yamantombazana?
Ngiyamuzwa kakhulu nxa ekhuluma ngokuthi laye umuntu kumele aziphakamise, afunde, abe le-capacity. Ngifuna ukuthi ngilinike i-example eParliament lapha ukuthi kulabantu abangamadoda, abangama-MP, abangenelisiyo ukubhala lokubala.
Yeah.
Kodwa it's fine ngoba ngamadoda. Ungaba ngumfazi sokuqalisa ukukhuluma ukuthi umuntu lo yi-grade 2 gala capacity ini. So mina lezo zinto njengoba sengumuntu omdala nje so zizahlala zingihlupha ukuthi nxa sikhuluma ngomuntu wesifazane sikhuluma nge-capacity, nxa sikhuluma ngendoda sithi nangu umuntu ukuthi uyenelisa kumbe kenelisi lokho ngokunye.
siyalisana siyadonselana phansi ungakhangelisa umuntu odonsela omunye umfazi phansi khangela kuhle kuhle ngemva kwakhe kule group yamadoda ubuya ngenza omunye umfazi ngoba uyabona ukuthi nxa sekhichiwe khonapho umfazi nalo ngizana ofakwayo ukumreplace kuzafaka indoda kuthi ukuthi nguye phela umazingela okadezele ethile ilokhu zakhe inyamazana yakhe esebenzisa umfazi ukugcina omunye umfazi
hayi marvelous
untanga ukuthi utsho ukhulumani sibisibili umfazi kumele asebenze gajalala ukudlula ukusebenza okwenza indoda so mina engikubonayo into yethu ilokhu isiye emuva kulokuthi siye phambili njengabafazi into engiyitshoyo ama-policies akhulunyiwe u-honorable Mpariwa ama-domestic violence act izinto ze-inheritance nakho konke lokho kodwa uzabona ukuthi noma silamaphepha akhulumayo lokuqamba ukuthi nxa kufiwe kuzahamba so nxa uchayiwe lobu kakho kuzahamba so practically kumbe sithi empilweni kanye kuyenzakala yini ukuthi umuntu ahambe ayoripota umkakhe emapoliseni uyaqalisa manje o-anti sebekutshela ukuthi hayi ubuntu bethu isintu sethu asivumeli kunama-lot of ama-pull factors kumbe singathi izinto ezikuphicayo izeni ukuthi uthole lawo malungelo asebhaliwe kube gender protocol kuzanilani lakonke lapho esingabhala khona kubanzima ukuthi umuntu ongumfazi akuthole lokho kube implemented kusebenza
Nkosikazi Matibenga, I would like you to articulate in English the part that you were saying that it's only on paper. Laws have been enacted, but nothing has been done so far.
Yes, I was actually saying that I want to agree 100% with Honorable Mpariwa when she says that the milestones that we have made since independence legislative frameworks in the form of parliamentary acts that address different issues of around the rights of women. The Domestic Violence Act, you look at the SADC protocol, the charters and conventions. All those are on paper, nicely articulated, nicely fought for by the women in their various organizations around the world, around the continent here, when we do mobilize and push for these protocols. We have them on paper, and also including most recently our constitution, our very own homegrown constitution. Everything is on paper, but we haven't got to the stage where we have programming that then makes sure that those legislated rights are actually accessed and enjoyed by the women. That particular
Honorable, thank you so much, Honorable Mativenga. PJ, very interesting view there. Kubva kuna mai Mativenga vari kuti ivo zvakanaka zvinhu zvakawanda mitemo yakawanda yemunyika yakangonyorwa pasi asi kuti uzoona kuti chiri kuitwa chaicho chabuda hapana. Saka very interesting views there. Chiedza, you heard what Mrs. Mativenga was saying there. What is your view?
I would like to agree with her in part because yes, zvinhu zvakanyorwa pasi asi anofanira kunge achizvigadzirisa, anofanira kunge achizvisimudzira. Ndiani who really is supposed to be implementing that. Like I said, of course, women have been educated, but vakadzi vacho ndo vataurwa namaidongo kuti ndo vari kuenda kunocrossa border. Handiti zvavari kuti hazvisiri izvo zvavakarwira. Saka isusuwo takatarisa kuti zvinhu zviri papepa asi ndiani chaiye anofanira kunge achizvisimudzira, ndiani chaiye anofanira kunge achigadzirisa mapolicies kuti ange achizobatsirawo madzimai. Sezvambotaura kuti tikatarisa madzimai mazhinji, ndambotaura ndakadzidza kuchikoro, but madzimai mangani ari kukwanisa kunge achikwanisa kupedza chikoro, ari kukwanisa kuwana mari yacho yekuenda kuchikoro. Recently tiri kunzwa kuti ma-examination fees akakwidzwa $2, but nyika yese yakachema chema kuti hazvifaniri kunge zvakadaro. Saka dzimwe nguva tiri kubatira nyaya pamusoro kuti hanga tinyorei mapolicies, but hatisi kunyatsotarisa kuti chii chaicho chiri kunyatsokanganisa kurarama kwemadzimai, kurarama kwevanhu vese kunyanya vari muZimbabwe. Saka takatarisa mapolicies wai ngatinge tichitarisa kuti chii chiri kuafekta madzimai, sei zvisiri kunge zvichisimudzirwa zvakadaro zviri kubva papepa izvozvo.
Aiwa, tinotenda Chiedza. Tine muteereri Vimbai Chadya vari parunhare, makadi yenyu? Muri kufona muri kupi? Imboti fambai mbijana, nhare yenyu inenge isiri kunyatsobuda zvakanaka timboona. Hello?
Hello.
Ehe, haiwa ndakunyatsokukunzwai. Tipeiwo maonero enyu neiri mugango iyi.
Ndangozibatira pakare.
Aiwa, zviri nani. Tiri kungotaura zvedu nekuti madzimai kuti madzimai pari zvino vari kuwana mikana here munyika, tichitarisa kuti tave nekuzvitonga kuzere 35 years, uyezve nemusi wemugovera tichange tichicelebrata independence. Mongotipa mafungiro enyu.
Madzimai pari zvino semaonero angu vari kuzama kuti vaise pakuzvitonga kwachona, asi handisi kuona senge kuti vana mai vari kutora danho rachona rekuzvitonga kwachona patingati kuchitonga peri, kana kuti vaonekere senge vari kuita something pakuzvitonga.
Sei muri kudaro?
Kutongwa ndinoona sokunge tiri kunyanya kuti sezvazvitaurwa nahonorable ndizvo zvekuitika kuti zvinhu zvinenge zvakarongwa kuti zvinofanira, asi vanhu rume havasati vanyatsogara.
Sisi Vimbai, nhare yenyu hamino zvairi kuita?
Kwatiri kunouko kuri kumboita kuita mazaisai anogona kunge achineta futi.
Aiwa, tinotenda zvedu kunge manga muri muchirongwa. PJ.
Interesting. I also, Marvelous, I got a message here with a statement from the president himself. President Robert Mugabe has made some appointments.
Are there any women, PJ?
That's what I'm coming to. Just wait a little bit. He says in the statement, the chief secretary to the president and cabinet, Dr. Mishek Sibanda, made these appointments. Number one, of permanent secretaries to the various ministries. Number one, Dr. Desire Mutize Sibanda to the Ministry of Economic Planning. That's a man. Brigadier General Ash Walter Tafumane to the Ministry of Welfare Services. He's a man. Dr. Machivenyika Mapranga to the Ministry of Higher Education and Tertiary Education. He's a man. Ambassador Grace Tsitsimu to the Ministry of Lands and Rural Resettlement. She's a woman. Dr. Judith Katera to the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, as well as Principal Directors, Major General Richard Ruodo, Brigadier General Godfrey Janakira, Brigadier General Evaristo Ziwema, Dr. Air Commodore Ivai Gibson Dumba to the Ministry of Higher Education as well, Brigadier General Tando Majamuse, Minister of Economic Planning. Out of the 10 appointments, there are only 2 women.
Wow, thank you for the latest news breaking there in Zimbabwe. But I think we'll ask one of our guests to comment on these appointments. Maybe let's go to Ms. Margaret Dongo. You've just heard the appointments that have been made, and there are only 2 women. What is your take?
I'm not surprised. Men feel insecure as well. It's about power, protection of power. And it's so painful, it's hurting. And let me say, as much as people can try to blame one another, the whole, the situation that we have, probably we need to go back to the drawing board. It's about the environment, political environment and the economic environment, which by now, women, even men could feel threatened by women. And as much as I'm concerned, for as long as we have a political environment which is what it is, and the economic environment which is what it is today, women will not be able to excel. And that's the drawing factor. And you might talk of education. We've got a lot of educated women. And now you look at the appointments that has been done today, and you compare every university you go, it's almost equal when it comes to enrollment, men and women. And in terms of pass rates, women excel better than men. But if you look at the whole country, you tell me to say you've only got 2 women that are capable to be part of that body. And then you ask yourself, okay, where is the emancipation of women? And you ask yourself to say, somebody talks about the Constitution, a good Constitution in place, good policies in place. Yeah, policies are made and to hoodwink people. And they know women have got weaknesses. We are singing about the policies that are not bringing bread and butter issues on our table. We are preaching on policies that are not helping, that are impoverishing us day and night. And now women, there are a lot of women destitute. There are a lot of unemployed women. And we are still singing a praise of being allowed to carry bags, crossing the border. Honestly, we have to think differently now. We have to move forward and say, what do we want as women? I think the women that have been privileged enough to sit in higher positions, and those that have been privileged enough to have positions that they can help other women, I think they should move away from the government style, where in actual fact they look at the few elite and they create a Queen Bee syndrome, whereby at the end of the day we don't see the results. I think we need to go back on the drawing board to find out where have we gone wrong. But what I want to say is that for as long as the political environment is what it is, even Pariwa or Matibenga will not be able to change women with a seat in parliament. I went to the passport office last week.
Honorable,
I want to give an example.
Okay, you can go ahead.
I went with a picture to the passport office. I had earrings, and I was told I have to go and get another passport, the passport picture, because they cannot accept my picture with the jewelry. And yet when I go to the immigration, wherever I travel, I'm putting on those the jewelry. But those are, okay, they are minor issues, but it has to do with my right as a woman.
Thank you.
So many things that are good on paper, but they are not practiced.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Dongo. I think we have 2 callers, PJ. We have Mrs. Marceline Chikasha, the interim president of African Democratic Party, and also we have Gertrude Muhliula. So we'll just take, a few minutes with them before going back to our guest. You can go ahead and take Miss Gertrude. She's been waiting for a while.
Yeah, siyakwamukela Nkosikazi Makwila.
Yebo ma.
Linjani khona ngapha?
Hayi siyaphila.
Yeah. Nansi indaba esilayo egudwini lamhlanje. Isingiminyaka engama-35 sithole uzibuze. Wena njengomama owalwa impi yenkululeko, ubona ngani kuba lezithelo na?
Mina njengomama engaleli inkululeko, izithelo yimi ikakhulu ngizakhulumela kimi ngoba abanye bazithola izithelo mina ngizitholanga izithelo ngoba kumele ngikhulumele mina labanye omama i-99% yabomama izithelo abahambe empini abazitholanga, ngoba sibona iZimbabwe ukuthi omama bayadubeka. Most of omama yibo abakhangela imuli ekhangela imuli khonapho. Ma ukuthi ubaba uyasebenza isikhathi esiningi, uyahamba emsebenzini engabuyi lemali, mina imenza phandela umntwana. Most of the time abantu thina ufundile ukuthi umsebenzi kawutholakali. Khathesi abantu abaningi ikakhulu kobulayo khonapho uzabona abantu abanama-degrees abantwana bayathengisa
bahamba bethengisa izitshi umuntu wonke uyathengisa kukanti ngakuthiwa vele ukulwa kwethu indlela kade sikulwela khona okomnotho ukuthi ilizwe libe nomnotho ngakuthiwa ngiyakwanisa ukuba nemali ngizisebenze ngivula ibhizinesi yami ungaze usebenze ufundele ukuthi ngifuna ukuyenza umsebenzi wami unje i-capital yokuqalisa umsebenzi ngiyabe ngingelayo ilizwe liwile akulalutho abantwana bagcwele esiridini thina sathi sikhula i-street kid sasingakwazi ukuthi kulento okuthiwa i-street kid kungakabi lempi but khathesi kugcwele ama-street kids kukhozela kuyini khona kwama-street kids kukhozela ngama-child headed families lamikhuhlane yena leyo ngathi izithelo zangikhona abantu imikhuhlane yena le njengabe-HIV mbona ngani yabuya labantu bevele emazweni yizo izithelo zangikhona esizitholileyo angifunanga ngokulwela impi ngoba inje khathesi ngiyadubeka I'm a destitute ngilabantwana bafundile kodwa bathola umsebenzi ngiyadubeka labo khona la
hayi siyabonga kakhulu
ube le ngqondo yokuthi ngifuna ukuyenza lokhu lalokhu kodwa i-capital yangikhona awuyitholi ilizwe lifile sisebenzisa imali zamanye amazwe sukanti iZimbabwe yena ngokwayo wayile sathi after i-war kade imali yeZimbabwe ile-value khathesi isivayilile sisebenzisa imali zamazwe abanye abantu
hayi siyabonga kakhulu nkosikazi Makwila yikuthi isikhathi sethu kasavumi wothi sithathe abanye abalaleli.
Thank you there, PJ. I could hear, the desperation in our caller's voice, but I will have to move to Ms. Chikasha. You have started a party. What is the environment like for women 35 years down the line? Are you respected, and do people see you as a prospective president in Zimbabwe?
I think the environment has improved a lot from, where we started in 1980. I think the ZANU-PF government actually did try to bring equal rights and gender equality. As a people, however, I think we still have a long way to go because culturally, we are not there yet. So you find that, you can be respected as a woman. You have equal opportunities. Girls go to school. They have equal access to institutions of higher learning, etc., etc. But when it actually comes to entering, say, into the field of politics, you'll find that the culture is what then overshadows your ambition as a woman. People do not expect women to be vocal. People do not expect women to speak up or stand up to men. So there is that conflict that I'm finding as I'm going on this journey.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry we took you right at the end of the program, but thank you very much for your contribution and happy independence. Chiedza, wanzwazvo kutaurwa na Mai Chikasha. Can we see a woman president coming from the Born Free, perhaps?
It's an ambitious thing to think about, but then I believe it is very possible. And like she's saying that culturally it becomes very difficult. So we can have government policies, we can have international policies on a global basis. But then when we come back to our patriarchal culture, it sometimes goes back to that word patriarchy, which we really do not like to always refer to. But then it's a reality. We face that every day as women, and like we've all been talking about, women women have gone to school, but there's a gap. Women are doing better than men if you look at results in terms of academics. But then where are the women after that? Are they the ones who are just crossing the border instead of getting back to implement policies? So I'd like to wish her the best in her campaign, and as a woman I'll also be there to support her, to just also help in us having ambitions for the future.
Thank you, Chiedza, our Born Free in-house here at Studio 7. I would also like to thank our guest, Honorable Parina Mukwanyanya, Mrs. Lucia Matibenga, and Amai Margaret Dongo, who joined us, and also our valued listeners who also were part of this program. Madzimai Murambe, Muchifona Chirongwa Ichinde Chenyu, I'm Marvelous Mplanganya Huye, and Chitito Sangana Swakare, Sondornoya.
Mina, Praxetis Jeremiah, Aslanganeni Nevielizayo, Skatisi.